Before we jump into this wild story, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss the craziest NBA breakdowns. Trust me, you'll want to see this. Now let's talk about the Mavericks and what might just be the most disastrous trade in NBA history. Almost a year ago, Dallas pulled the trigger on a move that shocked the league. Luca Donic, Maxi Kleber, and Marquise Morris were sent away for Anthony Davis and Max Christian. Fans were so furious they booed their own team at home. And while Nico Harrison didn't get fired for poor judgment alone, his vision for the franchise, and this trade in particular, was under serious scrutiny. Multiple teams were reportedly circling Davis, ready to strike, including aggressive bids from the Hawks and Raptors. But then on Christmas Day, everything went sideways. Davis suffered a groin strain, putting Dallas in an impossible spot. Do you play him carefully? Wrapping him in bubble wrap until the deadline and risk lowering his trade value, or push him to showcase his skills and risk a catastrophic injury? Dallas found out the hard way. In the most routine play guarding Lee Markin in Utah, Anthony Davis tore a ligament in his hand, likely requiring surgery. No dramatic collision, no highlight reel crash, just Davis somehow finding a way to injure himself on a normal play. The reports suggested he could be out for months, which left the Mavericks staring at a ticking clock with barely 3 months left in the season and virtually no trade leverage. As if the situation wasn't bad enough, conflicting reports started popping up about potential suitors still being interested. But the harsh truth is this: Dallas created their own nightmare. The trade that already looked like a disaster kept unraveling in front of everyone's eyes, turning what should have been a bold franchise move into a cautionary tale about injury risk and timing. AD's track record only amplifies the panic. Since joining the Mavericks, he's suffered 5 major injuries, starting with an abdominal strain on arrival, then a adductor injury in Game 1, followed by detached retina surgery, and now this hand ligament tear. Every setback chips away at his value and makes the trade look even worse. Dallas is left hoping, praying even, that a team still sees enough value to bite. But the reality is clear. Navigating the Anthony Davis business is like walking a tightrope over a pit of glass. One wrong step, and the whole franchise can crumble. Before we jump deeper, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss the wildest NBA breakdowns. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for this roller coaster. Now, let's continue with the Anthony Davis saga and why the Mavericks might have just handed themselves the worst trade nightmare in history. November came and went, and AD missed 14 games with a calf strain. And now this? The madness never stops. The thing is, none of these injuries are connected. They don't follow a pattern. They're completely random, freak incidents hitting every corner of his body. And that, my friends, is the story of Anthony Davis's career. Brilliant talent, but physically fragile. Just to put it into perspective, one of my favorite podcasts, The Hoop Collective, once tried to tally the number of times AD has been sidelined. Can you guess how many times he's been officially listed with any illness or injury? 50? 49? Try 195. 195. That's right, 200 is almost within reach. The host's reactions say it all. One face is pure shock, the other is disbelief and sadness. And here's the kicker. This is all across his entire pro career. AD sits at number 2 in the NBA injury database, right behind LeBron James, but with this trajectory, he's about to surpass him. Meanwhile, Dallas is stuck with what feels like a crypto rug pull of a player. High potential, high price, and a fragile body. And here's the worst part. They had teams lined up willing to take a shot. Multiple offers reportedly came in for AD, but the Mavericks were simply asking too much. Mark Stein revealed that the Hawks wanted to make a deal, but balked at including Zachary Reese with expiring contracts like Kristaps Porzingis and Luke Kennard. Dallas insisted on a massive package, young players, expirings, and picks, even throwing in a Pelicans pick from Atlanta. Once the Trae Young trade reshaped the league's landscape, the Hawks were left with scraps. C.J. McCollum, Corey Kispert, and an expiring role player instead of a franchise cornerstone. At that point, any rational GM would have slashed the asking price, but not Dallas. Now, months later, Shams Charania whispers that some teams might still be interested. The reality? Who in their right mind is going to absorb all that money for an injury-prone superstar currently sidelined? Mark Stein's answer is blunt: no way. The truth is brutal. AD hasn't played more than 4 games in a row in Dallas, while Luca Donic is dropping 33 points a night in LA. Sure, Luca has flaws, but the contrast is glaring. Dallas traded a 26-year-old MVP candidate who just took his team to the finals for a player who can't stay on the floor. Imagine if the Mavericks had shopped Donic properly. Teams like the Thunder or Spurs could have offered 7 to 10 first-round picks. An anonymous NBA exec even told The Ringer that it probably would have been the biggest haul in NBA history. Instead, Dallas ended up with AD, Max Christie, and a pile of unrealized potential, cementing what might go down as the league's most painful trade misstep. Before we dive into the next chapter, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, go ahead and do it now. This story is far from over, and you don't want to miss a second of the chaos. Now let's unpack the full nightmare the Mavericks find themselves in. When you look back at the trade, it's almost comical how badly Dallas got this wrong. Sure, teams like the Pelicans, Jazz, Magic, Rockets, and Blazers could have been on the receiving end, but what about the players coming back? Anyone not named Joyce, Wembley, SJ, or Curry? The list is short. What the Mavs actually got in return was Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a pick. Yes, not even Austin Reeves. Part of the rationale behind demanding so much for AD was an attempt to balance the Luca Donic trade. But let's be honest, that was never going to happen. From the start, it was a dumb trade, and Dallas made it worse by letting leadership instability define the process. Patrick Dumont replaced Nico Harrison with 2 interim GMs, and it's no wonder nothing got done. How do you execute a blockbuster trade when your front office is a placeholder? 2 interim GMs, neither fully in charge, trying to make critical decisions. It's a miracle anything moved at all. But the real nightmare isn't the trade itself, it's what the future holds. The Mavericks don't control their own draft picks until 2031. That means the franchise has to win now after this year. For instance, next season, the Hornets own their top 2 protected pick. The Clippers have similar limitations. Dallas can't tank for high picks. Losing games only gives them assets that vanish into other teams' pockets. Yet they're anchored by an injury-prone superstar on a supermax contract. Anthony Davis is owed $54 million this year, nearly $59 million next year, and $63 million in 2028. The Mavericks essentially built a win-now roster around a player who might not even stay on the floor. This raises a massive question. What about Cooper Flagg? Even if the Mavs didn't receive a draft pick in the AD trade, at least they had cap space. Cap space isn't just for signing free agents. The smartest front offices use it as a weapon. They absorb bad contracts, front-load deals, jump into blockbuster trades, or sign short-term veterans just to flip them at the deadline. Dallas had multiple teams willing to work with them in exactly this way, but they blew it. The opportunity cost? Enormous. Now here's the twist that keeps NBA fans awake at night. Nico Harrison's vision might still play out. What if AD stays healthy next year? Cooper, Kyrie, and Davis could go on a miraculous run. Anthony Davis has been incredible when on the floor, a walking double-double. Well, maybe more like a limping double-double, but still. 2 30-point games against Denver, 35 in a revenge outing in New Orleans, plus chemistry developing with Cooper. If they click with Kyrie, the Mavericks could have a magic season. But reality hits hard. AD is aging, and for the most injury-prone superstar of his generation, the odds are stacked against Dallas. The Mavs might be stuck with him unless some miracle team swoops in to bail them out. And speaking of wild developments, there's breaking news from Memphis. The Grizzlies have reportedly put Ja Morant on the trade market, and sources say this is a done deal. The relationship is completely broken, and no matter what the Grizzlies demand, a move seems inevitable. This situation puts Dallas in a precarious position. They need a solution, yet the window for trading AD with value has narrowed dramatically. If they pass this moment, they could be locked into years of an injury-prone star, while other young players like Luca Donic thrive elsewhere. The trade market, the salary cap, and future draft picks all collide to create one of the messiest franchise puzzles in modern NBA history. Dallas gambled on Anthony Davis, but the stakes couldn't be higher. And the fallout could define this franchise for a decade. The next season isn't just another year. It's the true test of whether the Mavs' risk will ever pay off, or if this trade will be remembered as a cautionary tale of ambition gone wrong.